Today on GTFO, the Overwatch World Cup makes its highly anticipated return tonight as the Korean group stage begins. In anticipation of this exciting event, we'll be counting down the top 7 countries participating in the World Cup. I'm Gryf.
I'm Trop.
And I'm Fireclaw. Let's break it down.
So, as we said in the intro, the Overwatch World Cup is beginning tonight. If all goes well, this video should be going up before the start of the World Cup. Obviously, that may not be the case, but we're going to try and get it out as soon as possible. And we're going to be counting down the top 7 teams that are going to be participating in the World Cup. Obviously, there are a lot more teams, but we're only doing the top 7, the ones we think are the most elite. So we are just going to be heading right into it, starting with number 7. And in the number 7 spot, we have Team Sweden. So I'm going to go to you first, Fireclaw. Tell me about Team Sweden. Why do we have them here at number 7?
The reason why Team Sweden isn't really any higher right here is just because they're kind of pieces and not really the best pieces from the Overwatch League. You have a lot of Mayhem players. You have Snillo, who kind of only we've seen on Tracer. Their other DPS is Sharp, a guy who I've only seen on Tracer. Reinforces coming out of retirement. They're just kind of a PC team, and I don't know if they'll get the synergy down. I don't know if their coach will get them ready for the meta, and I just don't know if they have the skill.
By pieces, I believe what you meant to say of the entire tournament here, because they're busting out the Mayhem players who are known for their walkout. They're busting out known to come back with a marching band when he. So I see these guys as a meme team. I mean, they have consistent players other than that, and Reinforces a caster for what I saw, and yeah, I know he can. Meme team. That's how I see Sweden. Number 7.
I do agree with a lot of those assessments. I am interested to see how Reinforced does coming out of retirement. I am interested to see if Snillo is going to play some different heroes other than Tracer. But it does seem like they have a lot of different pieces, not the best pieces, and they may not perform that well. But we do still have them here at number 7, as they are looking pretty solid with some good talent on the roster. But moving down to number 6, we do have the UK team, the United Kingdom. So over to Fireclaw again. Tell us about Team UK. What do you think of this roster?
They're my dark horse for the World Cup. I like this team a lot. They have a significant portion of the British Hurricanes roster. The British Hurricanes are a contenders team that not only won the European contenders, they actually beat the champions from the NA contenders, the Fusion University, last season. So they obviously have a lot of skilled players. They have a bulk of that on their roster. And then they have Boombox, who struggled this last year, but can really perform and shine when he gets going. This team has the pieces to upset an easily a 5 or 4 team. They're my dark horse for sure.
Yeah, I don't doubt you there, Fireclaw. Honestly, everything you said there, I would have to follow up and say the same thing. What about you, Gryf?
I think it is important to note, too, just the synergy between these players. You know, having several players from British Hurricanes is definitely going to be important, as they played with each other before. They're going to know, kind of how to work together. And they do also have Hayes, who I believe was also the coach of the British Hurricanes, if I'm correct. Fusion University. Sorry, my bad. Fusion University's assistant coach.
No, he's the Fusion's assistant coach.
Fusion's assistant coach. My bad. I just knew I had to mention the coach for some reason. But it is kind of cool just to note that they do have a good coach behind them, as well as the synergy between those players. So they should perform pretty well, and that's why we have them at number 6. Moving down to number 5, we have Team Finland, who you may not expect. But Trop, tell us why this team is here and what's the talent on this roster.
Ooh, I really like Team Finland. Yeah, no, definitely. I like Team Finland because these guys boom big when they come out. You got Fraggy on the Philadelphia Fusion, who played main tank for a majority of the time, and he comes out on Reinhardt hard, though the meta didn't support him. Now we'll see how he adapts. Linkster is one of my favorite players. The guy's he was known for counter sniping Widow, even if other people could snipe him back. He was known for it. They made a big point of that. You got the synergy on their support. You've got Timo from the Dallas Fuel. All these players are known for their very big highs and then fall off the radar on their lows, but their highs are what make them so highly rated on this list. What about you, Fireclaw?
You mentioned the support synergy. That's really my biggest thing for Team Finland. You have the synergy from both LA Gladiator supports, and I think it's going to be their strongest asset. Taimu kind of got going at the end of the last stage, but Big Goose and Shaz, they know how to play with each other, and they both perform fairly well. Gladiators were a playoff team. They are going to be a hard carry for Team Finland, I think.
I think, to me, this team is very much a boom or bust team. As Trop said, they have hit very high highs, but they at the same time have hit very low lows. Fraggy struggled a lot during the season in the Overwatch League. Taimu, for the majority of the season, was struggling. Linkser had his issues too. But I think if this team is all performing at their best, they can be a really scary team and could go very far in this Overwatch World Cup. But we are going to move on from Team Finland, and we are going to head to probably my favorite team in this World Cup, and that's going to be Team France. So back to you, Fireclaw. Tell us about Team France.
I'm a big Team France fan just because as a Fusion fan, they've got Poco. He's my player to watch if I had to pick one for Team France. I love Poco. He's the carry. And then when you look at players like Soon and Unko, even AKM, these are all Overwatch League caliber players. They all know how the game works. They have all played at this high level. I said UK is my dark horse. France is I guess not the dark horse, but they're more of an underdog for me. I know those are kind of the same word, but they're a team that I think has the potential, and I think if they can do it, they can even maybe beat a Team USA or South Korea.
Yeah, well, I would have to agree, but overall, what puts them so high on the list is these are the big names. These are names that really stand out. Every single player on this list stands out, in my opinion, and that's why they would take a number 4 from me. What about you, Gryf?
When it comes to this team, I think it is obviously a standout player for me is Poco, but there are players on here who can really pop off, like Soon, like AKM, Unko as well. So for me, similar to Finland, I think this team does have to play their best if they want to be, one of the top teams in this Overwatch World Cup. But I think they definitely have the potential, and they have a couple of players that I just think are going to do extremely well heading forward from here. But that is all we have to say about Team France. So moving into our top 3, we are going to start things off with Team Canada. Trop, over to you. Talk to us about Team Canada.
Well, I know what you guys want to point out is the XQC stuff, but what I'd like to point out is Bonnie on the support role. As an Outlaws fan, I watch the team, and I know Bonnie personally tracks ults. Like that new app Visor, people call it cheating. Bonnie is a cheater because he can track ults without an app. This guy is going to do something incredible for building a structure in their play, and I like to see their DPS lineup just absolutely frag. They're very strong there, and XQC, well, he's hungry for a competitive scene. I definitely know that with his season ending short. What about you, Fireclaw?
XQC, will he play? We know there's controversy going on with him right now.
And he's banned.
assuming he does play, they have a really strong lineup. Note's incredible. They have one of the most versatile DPS lineups. Agility's Mangachu and Surfer can pretty much cover anybody on the offensive hero slot. And as Trop already pointed out, Bonnie's incredible. If XQC does not play, this is a basement team, and you will see them in the basement.
Don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think. Well, I do agree with that, but not for the reasons you'd expect. I don't think XQC is this, hugely important player, to any other team. But when I think it comes to Team Canada, you've heard Jane talk a lot about how much he likes, Jane, the coach of Team Canada, how much he likes XQC. I think a lot of this team is going to be, strategy-wise centered around XQC and his play. And I think for that reason, if XQC doesn't play, they are going to be in a lot of trouble. Maybe not so much because of XQC's talent, but because of the strategy built around him.
Well, we saw it in the last, in the Overwatch League and even in Contenders. A strong main tank is key, and I don't even know who the replacement is. I don't think they planned on having a replacement. I think Jane, as you said, has planned XQC this whole time. So without them, I think this team just collapses.
Mm-hmm. And that's taking nothing away from, the DPS, the off tank, the support.
No, they're all
really
great.
Strong. But obviously, there is a lot to be said about XQC, but we are going to move on from Team Canada. They are looking really strong. That is why they are our number 3. But going into our number 2, Going into our number 2, we have the U.S. team. So, Trop, I know you would love to talk about them. Let's hear about the United States.
They're tier 1. Every single player on this list is Therians. The fact competing in the league, and they're all not only competing in the league, but these are the top of their class among competing in the league. I think that is what deserves to be the number 1 spot. I mean, also patriotism. This is my country. This is your country. We should be voting for America. It's silly that we're not. Fireclaw, what do you think?
they do have a lot of really good spots. I think Moom and Space are actually the best tank lineup in the World Cup right now. I think that out of everyone on this list, though, I want to keep an eye on Zachary. He's a contenders player for Fusion U. He gives the team a lot of options because although Sinatra is flexible, we've really only seen him on the Tracer. I know for a fact Zachary can play Widow, Doomfist, McCree, Tracer, literally just about any hero in the game. He's been playing Sombra in the new meta. He's not the best, but he can play it at a high level, and I think he's an important character for Team USA.
So, just my thoughts on the United States team are going to actually be focused around the supports. Obviously, Movement Space really solid on tank. They have a strong DPS lineup. I'm excited to see Hydration and Zachary potentially be the starters for them. But Raucous and Moth, for me, I think is the incorrect duo to have chosen. I think it should have been Sleepy and Moth, not just because I think Sleepy is a more solid and more consistent off support than Raucous, but because I think that Moth and Sleepy have that synergy as a support duo, and I think that could be really important for this team that they don't have that synergy going on. I think it was a mistake not to pick Raucous, and that's kind of my thoughts on Team USA. Obviously, they are still really strong. Trop, what do you have to say?
I think I was going to point out with you talking about support duos. I think that's interesting that you don't think they have the correct support duo. With the number one team, do you think the number one team has the correct support duo?
Well, we'll be getting into that.
This is your number one team. What are you talking about?
We will be getting into that. I think that's a perfect segue then into our number one team. So obviously everyone saw this coming, but our number one team, the team that we believe is going to win the whole thing, other than Trop anyway, is going to be the South Korean roster. So Fireclaw, start us off. What are your thoughts on the Korean team?
I will die for Carpe. I love him. And that's just me being a Fusion player, but in all honesty, he's the best player in the world. Flexible, carry. And he's the backbone of not just the Fusions team, the South Korean team. There was a video where all the players were asked, who's going to pop off the most? And they all point to Carpe. Like, everyone in the world knows that this guy is the GOAT. And I think that when you look at their whole lineup, J-Jonak and Arc, they were the best supports in the league. The meta shifted a little bit, but J-Jonak can bust out Ana, which is meta. You have Fate and Meko. This is where I will harp on South Korea a bit. I think Fate's the wrong pick. I think you have Fisher, you have Gesture, you have Mano, and although he might not have played well, I hope they at least looked at Miro. He played in the last 2 World Cups. Like, I just don't know if Fate showed me enough to like them. I know Valiant did really well, but I think a lot of that was Sunin Agility's carrying and Space coming in. I just don't know if Fate was the best choice. But this lineup is jacked. Like the U.S. team, they're all tier 1 players. I just think South Korea has a little bit more synergy with it being a lot of NYXL. And then Carpe makes every fight winnable. So I just don't know how you can go wrong. You can't go wrong with picking South Korea as your number 1.
Trop, why do you think that this team doesn't quite stand up to the United States team?
Well, it's sad that I have to defend America when you guys aren't gonna take their side. I think what really puts them behind America, right, dude?
Are you eating?
I can't actually. No, I'm crying, dude, because I can't actually defend America. Dude, you can't, dude. They have chemistry. If you take America, a tier 1 team across the board, and then just gave them just an entire first inaugural season of chemistry, because this is just New York Excelsior plus Carpe. I can't. You can't do it.
I'm gonna have to agree with everything that's been said. The South Korean team is looking absolutely stacked. Carpe, to me, is the best in the world. Sabiolbi, I think, can play any hero they need him to if he gets enough time on it. Libero, super flexible. I am in agreement about the main tank situation. I think Gesture or Fisher would have been a better decision, but Fate is obviously really strong as well. There's a reason they chose him. Mako, really strong on the Diva, very consistent. And then Jonak and Arc, they're going to pop off as supports, obviously, not pop off in the DPS.
Just real quick, obviously I think we all kind of know South Korea is the giant right now. If they do lose, I think it's going to be entirely based on the meta. We saw NYXL struggle with the last meta and adapting. If the meta could technically be worse for them, which would really open the window for like the next 3 teams below them. But they do have the synergy, and they're just they're huge.
I don't even think there's any reason to consider that. I think that the South Korean team is going to walk through the Overwatch World Cup, and they're gonna take it with basically with ease. In my opinion. I believe that is all the time we have for today, though. So if you guys did enjoy, please remember to like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts down below. If you disagree with us, if you agree with us, any thoughts you have on the Overwatch World Cup, on any of these teams. And we will see you in the next video. I'm Gryf.
I'm Trop.
And I'm Fireclaw.
And this has been GTFO.